everybody. So I'm gonna make a video that nobody asked for because that's what I do. But yesterday I was watching a lot of ghost story videos and stuff like that, and I thought about mine and I was like, dude, what stories did I mention and things like that, and how badly edited was it, and how just generally terrible were the stories. So I wanted to remake them because I rewatched them and I went, gosh, I got facts wrong, like, about myself. There were stories like that I just got ages wrong or something like that, and I'm glad that now I double checked. I did ask my parents with like one of the stories that I knew that I definitely got my age wrong, so I double checked with them and I now have the right age. But I also have some other stories to tell, so if you have watched my old videos, there will be some of the same videos, but there will also be some new ones. Also, I made a little bit of like I guess you could call it a script. It's more like a plan, just so that I don't lose track. So I might look over here at points just so I know where I am going, so that I don't lose track or forget any of the stories. Also, I'm going to set this up into kind of 3 different things. So this video is going to be mainly about like my relatives, or like ghosts that are my relatives or within my family kind of thing. You know, that kind of thing. Then I'm going to make one of my school experiences, and then I'm going to make one on like my house. So stick around for those. I don't know how often I'm going to make them. I just wanted to remake them, and I've got some other scary stories that I kind of remembered and went, gosh, I never told anybody about that. But honestly, rewatching those videos made me think, wow, I forgot about some of those experiences. Here we go, let's get in here. So I mentioned this one, my first experience, in my last video. So I was actually 3 at the time. I think I said in my original video that I was 5. There was no way I was 5, I was definitely 3. I checked with my parents, they said I was 3, I had not started school yet, and I had not left Burnley yet, so I was definitely 3. And also, as my auntie Jenny was 18, and she is 15 years older than me, is that right? That sounds right. Yeah, so the age is right. For those of you who have not seen the video, I will tell you the story. It is exactly the same story except for the age. So when I was 3 years old, I was going to, well, me and my parents were going to visit my granddad Tony in the hospital. He had lung cancer at the time, and you know, we went to go visit him when he was in there. In the room that he was in, it was literally just him and the machinery. There was nobody else in here. This is a very important part to the story. Me and my parents were going to go in, and they were like, oh, no, let's go see your granddad. And when we were going through the doors, I kind of said, no, there's too many people in there, I don't want to go in to the room. And my parents were like, oh, what's she talking about? Too many people, there's literally your granddad in there. So, like, at the time, I don't really think about it, you know, there were too many people. There's a few senses of this, and this might be upsetting for some people. I don't know, it's not really that upsetting to me, so just want a little warning here in case you don't like talking about death or anything. Probably not the best video. But at the time, I guess, seeing those spirits surrounding my granddad and completely in the room with my granddad, I kind of foreshadowed the fact that he was going to die that day. I want to point that out just so that you know that at a very young age I knew what death was. I knew what happened. You went forever, and that was what I experienced. I didn't know anything about, well, like, I knew about ghosts and stuff like that. I believed that you would either come back as a ghost or you would go like to heaven or hell. The next story, which I also told in my last video, we'll get onto the new ones soon, but the next story was of my grandma Riley. It must have been about 2-3 days after my grandma had died. I keep looking at the bat and I'm like, what is that? But it was about 2-3 days after my grandma had died, and you know, like I said, I knew what death was. I knew she was dead. But I was led in bed, you know, I'm pretty sure it was like a school day, it might have been a weekend, I don't know. And I felt this cold tap And I woke up, because I mean it's pretty difficult to wake me up, honestly. Once I'm asleep, I'm asleep. Except for like noise, people talking sometimes wakes me up, or tapping me. You have to proper tap me. I felt this cold tap and I woke up. Like I was like, whew, you know, my parents must be trying to wake me up. Like my dad sometimes comes in to check that I'm still breathing and stuff, because we have asthma and things, and I breathe very quietly. So I thought it was that. And where my room is, I've described this before, but there's like a chimney breast right where my bed is. So I used to have my bed, before I had my bunk bed, I had my bed facing the same direction as my bed is now in my house. Well, in my family house. And when I woke up, so I sat up, as you do, and I looked at that wall, and as I looked at that wall, I saw my grandma there. Now, when my grandma was alive, she was always smiling. Like, I don't remember ever seeing her sad or angry. Like, even when she was in hospital, when she had cancer, she was always smiling around me, even though I could see like she was shaking so badly at times, but she always made sure that she was smiling because she was around me. I think around others as well. I don't know, I just never really saw her upset. I mean, I'd seen her angry, but you know, never truly upset. So when I looked up and I saw my grandma there, the fact was that she looked incredibly angry. She looked, I don't know, like she had no expression almost. She was just blank, but almost like with a glare in her eyes. And me being the 7-year-old child, I freaked out. I didn't know, I knew she was dead, I didn't know why she was there, and why did she look so angry at me? So I screamed, I told her to leave, I told her to get out, and my parents came into the room. And that is when they told me about the experience that I had when I was with my granddad Tony. Now, if you have watched the original videos, you know that I spoke about, I have had experiences in between those two, but I will talk about those ghosts in the house video, because they're more to do with that than not to do with my family. But that kind of plays into the fact that I didn't know that I could see ghosts at the time. So I recommend that you probably watch that as soon as it comes up if you're interested in this kind of thing. So if you have seen the original video, you will know that I said in the video that my grandma had forgiven me for shouting at her and stuff, and I didn't say in that video why she forgave me. I just said that she forgave me, and I didn't really explain much. And I don't remember if I mentioned this in another video or not. I think I might have done. It's either in the Q&A that I did or in something else. I definitely feel like I've mentioned it. But anyway, so when we were in school, we used to have this thing called a well. So you had to walk down some stairs, and there was like a dip, which was the well, and then you had to walk up some stairs and you would go to the canteen or the cafeteria. So at the time, I'm pretty sure that me and Kitty were sitting together because we had assigned tables. I'm pretty sure we were. Kit reminds me if you remember this, but I'm pretty sure we were sat on the same table, and so you have to walk down these steps, go to the well, go up the steps, and go into the cafeteria. We then got our food on a little trays, you know, got everything that we needed. The way we did it, because otherwise you'd have to walk around all the tables, and too many people went that way and people were trying to walk past. It was a lot easier to go down into the well and walk back up the stairs. Now, if you come up this set of stairs from the well, sorry, just gotta crack my neck. When you come up this set of stairs from the well, there's two doors here and 2 doors here, and they're just glass. They're just windows basically that are doors. So I was walking up the stairs, and I don't remember this too well. I know what I did, but it's a bit hazy, if you get me. Like the memory's there, but it's not quite there. So I don't remember exactly what I did. I remember that I'm pretty sure I put my tray down on the table that we sat at, and I went outside. I remember going out the doors. Like, that's what I remember. I remember going out the doors, and I remember there was a gate that we had to go through. Well, there's like a gate that the senior school had to go through, and the junior school and the infant school, we had to walk over a bridge into that part of the school. But at that gate, which was always open, I remember really, really clearly, I need to breathe, whew. I always forget to breathe when I talk, I don't know why. But I really, really clearly remember looking at that gate and I saw her, and my grandma she looked so much happier, and she was just waving, like that was when she said goodbye, you know. But I never truly believed that my grandma, like I don't believe that my grandma left me. She's always looking after me. I'm pretty sure if I have a guardian angel, my grandma's definitely trying to take over that job. She's always there for me. I think, did I write this down? Yeah, so basically when something bad's about to happen, or she wants to warn me of something that bad's going to happen, like one experience I had is before my exams. I don't remember which one it was. I think it was my sociology exam. I smelt my grandma's perfume, and this is how I know she's around. Like I always smell her perfume, and sometimes I'm like, some people are like, it's just a coincidence. Like I'm like, no, I know it's her. Like it's definitely her. It comes, and when she knows that I've smelt it, it goes. And there was one exam that I did, I'm pretty sure it's my sociology exam, and I smelt her perfume, and I just thought, this is not going to be a good exam. I got in there, honestly, it was the worst exam ever, and I did fail, but I was glad that, like, I didn't feel upset about it, because I knew, like, I was warned about it, kind of thing. It's either because of that, or it's because her and my granddad Riley are coming to visit me. Now, the smelling of my grandma's perfume leads nicely onto the next story, and the bit about my granddad Riley also leads quite nicely into my next story. So, basically, I think this was around the time of my SATs. Yeah, it must have been my SATs 4 years ago. I was 16. Well, not my SATs, but like my mock exams. It was definitely my mock exams. I don't remember exactly how many years ago it was. I think it was 4. I wrote 4 here. I don't actually remember when this grandma died. I'm pretty sure I was 16. Maybe not, maybe I was... No, I must have been 16. I was either 15 or 16. I was around that time. But anyway, I came home one day, and like I was about to walk into the kitchen, and I got this strong smell of my grandma's perfume, and like I was like, so I said out loud, like I said to my parents, why can I smell my grandma's perfume? Like thinking, I don't know, I just thought maybe they'd know. And my mum and dad said, well, my mum said, which grandma? And I said, my grandma Riley. And she said, oh, okay, there's something we need to talk to you about. And I immediately, at the time, I'd already lost 4 cats. I was expecting that something might have happened to my last cat, Caffrey's. So I said, where's Caffrey's? And my mum was like, no, Caffrey's is fine. Can you sit down? We need to talk to you. And I said, okay, like, what's going on? After that, they then told me that they got a phone call, and my grandma Witchy Poo, as I called her, my grandma White Oak, maybe if anybody wants to know the significance of why I called her Grandma Witchy Poo, I will explain in another story time or something like that, but it's not really in for this. But they told me they got a call and she had passed away. It was peaceful, she wasn't in any pain or anything, it was just over. She warned me and she let me know. Then another experience was my granddad Riley, and I don't think I've ever actually told anybody about this. I don't think I ever fully told anybody about this or explained the situation I was in, but basically a lot of people will know. Anybody that knows me really well knows that, like, it was about, I must have been 12. I know that I just finished my exams, my SATs, as we call them, SATs. I just finished my SATs, and it must have been June, and I was so like excited, I was so happy. Within that same week, my parents didn't want to tell me while I was doing my exams that my granddad was in hospital. But after that, after I'd finished my SATs, they told me he was in hospital, and he had something wrong with his stomach. Anyway, it must have been the same week, maybe a couple of weeks later, we got a call from the hospital saying it was quite critical and we should go back. We had been visiting him. It was the summer holidays at this point, so we were going to visit him, and you know, but it was the middle of the night that we got this call. I'm pretty sure. We went to go visit him. He was fine. Then a little while later, I will kind of explain it a bit, I guess. It was, I guess, the first time I'd been there when, well, apart from my granddad, Tony passing away, that's probably the first memory I actually have, is my granddad Tony passing away. I can remember it very vividly, and I guess if anybody wanted a story about that, I would tell it, but I just don't think it's very appropriate, although it is kind of interesting in a way. But I was there when my granddad Riley was in hospital. I was there most of the time. My Uncle Liddy will know that we were there, and we had the priest come in and everything and give him his last rites, if you know what those are. At this point, me and my parents had left because I couldn't deal with it, you know. I get quite emotional now remembering it and like putting myself in that situation. But he passed away after the priest had finished giving him his last rites. You might ask, why is this important? But it just kind of explains the situation I was in at that moment. I was distraught when I was told. I was screaming. I was like, no, bring him back. Like, you know, it was very upsetting. Like, at this point, right now in time, I have 2 grandparents left. And you might be like, Alex, what do you mean you've got 2 grandparents? So my granddad Tony married my grandma Judith, and my grandma Witchy Poo, who used to be married to my granddad Tony, married my granddad White Oak, which we don't really talk to him much now, unfortunately. He's moved a lot farther away from us now. But yeah, that's just to explain that, in case anybody's like, what? You still have grandparents, but you don't. But they're all dead. So yeah, so we left pretty soon after my granddad had passed away. I remember the situation. It was pretty late at night. I must say, it was probably, I don't know, maybe 7 or 9. It's between that time. It was me, my mum, dad, and my uncle Mark. And this is where I've never told anybody the story. My parents might watch this, I don't know. But I was staring out of the window. I cloud gaze a lot. I like looking at the sky. The sky calms me. When I'm sad, especially, it calms me to be able to see the stars, to be able to see the clouds, because they keep moving no matter what's happening in the world, and that's what I want to be. I want to be a cloud that no matter what experience I'm going through, I want to stay happy and I want to keep moving. So we were sat in the car and I was just staring at the sky, and we were listening to the radio. It was pretty somber music, honestly, but it wasn't anything that would make me cry, you know. And I remember the clouds forming together, and like at this point, I mean this part of the story could completely be my imagination, but I like to think that it's not. The clouds were coming together and they formed a picture of my grandma and granddad. Now, for those of you who know me well, they'll know that my granddad Riley was really, really distraught when my grandma died. Pretty much every day after that, he would. I'm pretty sure he wished that he'd gone before her. So when I saw that made me think they're happy, they're together, and that's okay. They've met each other in the afterlife, and that's what I wanted to know. I burst into tears seeing that because, you know, like right now that makes me so happy that I could cry, like knowing that they met, knowing that they met in the afterlife. You know, it made me really happy. Oh, it's been a while since I cried at these things. ooh. But yeah, that made me so happy. And maybe it was just my imagination, but it made me think, yeah, they're together. They're happy now. They're back together. And, you know, that just, yeah, it just makes me really happy. Oh gosh, I never thought I'd cry. Oh gosh. Anyway, the next story that I want to get onto, it's kind of a brief story, just like you can see, my dear. My cats. For those of you who don't know, I had five cats. I had Beamish, Cass, Caffrey's, Goth, or she was called Gothic for full. Cass was Cassis, and Hobgob, who was Hobgoblin. Hobgoblin, my gosh, she was the cutest, but she was terrified of people. Just as I said, I lost 4 of them. They were, the 4 that I lost were all black cats, and then the last one was a calico cat. And honestly, she was the angriest cat you will ever meet, honestly. By the time she was lovely, the next minute she would have you if you just, you know, she was mental. And as time went on, she lost her hearing, as you probably saw. I'm pretty sure she's in my other videos if I can find footage of them. I'll try and put them in. She was incredibly loud. She would always meow. If I can find a picture of her, I'll add her, and maybe like add the other cats in as well. But they've all passed away now. They all pretty much old age. They all at some point a cat will get kidney failure and they will pass away. That's just how it is. Or old age. They'll just fall asleep and that's it. So I've lost all of them now, but that does not mean that they don't think that they're still alive. I'm pretty sure they still think they're still alive. They roam the house all the time. They're always there, always. You'll hear them meow, they'll jump on the bed, they do things like that, and I'm not the only one that experiences these things. I'm usually the only one that experiences it. Sometimes my mum and dad experience like little things, but the cats, they always experience it. The cat's jumping on the bed, the cat's meowing, like they walk around the house all the time. You'll see them running, like they're still there. they have not left. Especially like I'm pretty sure Goth was mental as a cat. She would do all sorts of things. She'd run around the house, she'd eat spiders, anything that she could do, she'd go mental. Since I'm emotional now, I'm going to finish this story and I'm going to try and film the next one so that they can kind of be a continuous thing and maybe go up every few weeks or something. But this is very long, a lot longer than the original one. So peace, love and hugs, go hugs on today, and I will see you in my next video, whatever it may be. I will try and get back to normal videos soon. This is just something that I really wanted to make. I have some new experiences and stuff that I want to talk about, so here we are. Anyway, I hope you like this video. If you want to see my others, I'll link them when they come up, or I'll link my old ones here. I'll try and create like a paranormal playlist or something like that. I might make one of like my favourite kind of paranormal videos as well. So we'll see. But yes, I will see you soon. Bye bye.